Waiting for Joe. I'm waiting for Joe. I sent him the invite to my academy. Waiting for Joe. Waiting for Joe. He doesn't know what to do. Where is Joe? I don't know. He is gone. Far away. Joe is here, pumping air in the most amazing way.
Is that something from Mary Poppins? It sounds like a Mary Poppins song.
Yeah, it's like when they're on the rooftops and there's a bunch of guys that clean chimneys.
Step in time, step in time, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme.
Yeah, it's between that and Chim Chim Tree. Where is Joe? I don't know. Where is he gone? I don't know.
That's nice. That's real nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the paid portion. This is what you are paying your massively earned money for.
Joe, I'm 16 minutes late. You got to chew me out. Look, I was getting electrocuted over there.
Yeah. See, here's the deal. I go by I'm the type of disciplinarian that somebody else, I didn't have to say anything. You knew. Because you were expecting me to chew you out. So I don't have to say nothing. But today has been an extremely busy day. From the time I woke up, I woke up, got dressed, got to work, had a little bit of a lull, had my morning coffee, caught up on some emails and messages. Could chill for about 45 minutes. And since then, since about 8:30, I have been going nonstop, like absolutely nonstop between work, getting off work, running home. Tomorrow I leave for up north, packing, getting the house ready, back in Royal Oak, driving out, hitting the grocery store, driving out to Heidi's house, which is about 45 minutes north of me, driving out here. Once I got here, same thing, continuing packing, cooking dinner. I wanted to make sure that it was ready like when she got home because she works late on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And then it's pocket. Oh, and in between there, I had insiders practice. So right after work, insiders practice. And
you stopped at the grocery store, got some Vegemite, tasted it, decided it was bad, wrote a bad review on Yelp about that grocery store because of the Vegemite. I didn't want you to.
I actually got Southeast coleslaw, like a Southeast cabbage salad. I think they call it at Trader Joe's, and then some chicken thighs and some pork chops.
Yeah,
to grill up, and that was it. So we just got done eating, got up here to the old Computron box, and yeah, I'm ready to go. So I did want to say one thing for anybody coming to the Insiders show on August 13th in Hamtramck, Michigan at the Sanctuary. We have Cal Cagno coming back. He will be there to rap his verse on The Hunted. Yes, ex-Detroit radio DJ personality. Cal Cagno. He will be there rapping. We also have our old driver.
Was it Andy?
No.
That was just when we toured.
Yep. Yeah. If Andy comes to the show, he can do it too. We'll play the song twice.
I'll tell him.
And then Dave Taylor, our old driver. He was our driver who we hired to drive the big blue truck.
Yeah.
We put him through driving school.
Yeah.
So he got his license to drive a big truck. We put him through school. He came out with us and he loved being on the road so much. He would drive all night and then he would stay up all day playing video game tournaments and hanging out with all the bands. And then he would be up all night driving and then stay up all day playing video game tournaments and hanging out with bands. And suddenly it hit us, Dave never sleeps. So about 2 weeks into our tour that he was driving for us on, we were stopping in the middle of the night on the side of the road so he could catch cat naps to continue driving Or he told us later that he would drive with his hand in a bucket of ice water to stay awake.
That'll do it.
So that Dave Taylor of Insider's near-death infamy, he's attending the show as well. And what he used to do on tour is he would play drums during Sacrifice. So we will play Sacrifice that night. So Nate,
because Nate would go
behind the kit. Yeah. So Nate's going to be singing on Sacrifice. Dave Taylor will be playing, hitting them skins, as the kids call it.
That's rad.
And then Cal will be coming. So, and there might be some other things that pop up. Some other, Kid Rock or Eminem, ICP might be there. Might. I don't know. They might. It's not outside the realm of possibility that they are there.
I think that's exciting. And at the same time, Five Iron will probably be playing their last shows.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ever? So this last spat you guys got in has sealed the deal?
I don't know. We haven't talked.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm like Dennis and Andy had to call me and talk me off the ledge. And they're like, hey man, what's going on? They're wonderful, sweet, good friends. And I was like, oh. Well, one, remember last year? It sucked. And I have like this much patience. Like, it's like, I'm like, today's good. And then a couple bad things happen. And I'm just like, God hates me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
oh, you just coughed. That's the first of the COVID.
Hey, speaking of which, my kid got COVID from my ex. Amy got COVID. She was very good about masking up and stuff, but Lyndon got it. She was sick, home all day yesterday. And then, like, I thought she was sore because she's been doing volleyball camp. I'm like, well, honey, do they stretch? She's like, I don't know how to do that. I was like, oh, this is bad. This is why you're sore. So I made her go to volleyball the next day. Meanwhile, we're all driving around like living together, hugging, kissing. So then the next day, she's like, I go to work, do the morning meeting. She wakes up. She's like, Dad, I don't feel good at all. I'm like, all right, I'll come home and check on you. Come home. She's like, got the chills, a fever. So I'm like, oh, let's try a COVID test. And I've done thousands of these things. Thousands. Like 10,000 COVID tests. I've never seen somebody test faster positive. It was like as the fluid was moving, it's just like the biggest red line. Like, oh my gosh!
No, you just opened the package.
Yeah, I was like and
it started beeping, and there's nothing electric in it.
I touched
There's no electronics in the.
It shocked me, and then turned into a snake.
Yeah. And you were like, rise, these dry bones dance.
So I was like, okay, honey, you gotta start wearing a mask. Let's go upstairs. And then I called work. I'm like, yeah, she's positive. They're like, don't come back. So then I had my office mate like pull out my laptop and stuff and put it in the lobby, and I went up there and got it. And then I worked from home yesterday.
Oh,
and
nice.
then this morning they were like, yeah, also don't come back. So
they're like, no, seriously, here's your pink slip.
Yeah.
They were like, we just tucked it in your computer bag.
Well, I just been doing the construction, and she was up there sleeping and stuff. But then today she was fine. And then Amy came, got both kids. They're all masked up. So hopefully Era doesn't get it, and hopefully I don't get it.
Yeah.
But it's real. Still going. COVID is still going.
Oh, I don't think it was ever not going.
Joe,
it's just that a cold now.
It's a hoax. Come on.
It's just a cold.
Yeah, but it's a awful cold. And if I get it and take it to the old people at work, somebody's going to die.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of that. Yeah.
That's what I worry about is the
same
olds.
thing if you had the flu and you went up to the hospital, like same exact thing. Like if you were like, I have the flu, but I don't care if I give it to anybody. Like you can hurt people with the flu, you know?
You can. It's like
hey, let's see if the mic picks this up.
It did
pick up that fart?
Oh, yeah, it did.
I farted. So you were talking about you were on the ledge, Andy and Roderick. What's his name? Kevin,
trombone player. He's a trombone player.
Dale,
Leslie. His name is Dennis.
Dennis, I forgot your name for a sec.
Serious?
Yeah, I did. I honestly forgot his name for a second. I blanked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like me and Dennis hang out all the time. You know what I mean?
You're
Dennis
just
and
like
Melinda. Yeah.
Yeah, and Melinda. And what are their kids' names? Don't even try, dude. Yep, close.
Cooper and Dakota.
Yep, very close.
Cooper and Tyler.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they want to be drug into this. Copeland and Odyssey.
Copeland and Odyssey?
Odyssey.
Honestly?
No. She's not named after a Striper song. It's like a place in France. Joe, don't interrupt me. I'm Wikipediaing the lyrics to my own songs so that I can talk about what you're trying to make me do.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.
Aren't you proud? You're like, oh man.
Yeah, no, it's great. That goes way beyond the laziness of any sort of show prep where you're actually doing it during the show.
Hey, sometimes
ladies
people
and gentlemen, this is the dedication. This is the dedication that
Can I tell you, in 5-iron, we have this mixer thing that is it's controlled. You can mix your own in-ears on your phone. And sometimes I'm like, get it out, and people are like, he's looking up the lyrics. And then they tell people online, and then Joe.
Yeah.
Stop, Joe.
Vanilla, 0 sugar Coke, vanilla.
It looks like a modified Coors can. That's what I like about it. Yeah. Then the people in the band will be like, "Oh, great! Recent learned the words again," because they don't have me in their ears. They don't hear it anyway. They're just like, the people said he forgot his lyric, and I'm mixing it.
You're like, and the people also said COVID was a hoax.
What did you do during the hoax, Joe?
I flipped comic books.
That's cool. So anyway, 5-iron Frenzy is probably breaking up. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Hey, yeah. So, well, that's good. That's good news.
Yeah, it's good news.
So hopefully we can get some of those bucks.
Well, dude, you keep saying things like, come see the Insiders because we're probably not playing any more shows ever. And I don't think that's cool.
Well, here's the deal. Our last couple conversations about 5-iron Frenzy, you haven't necessarily blown me away to be able to say, this is something that I really want to commit to.
Right. Okay.
Now, mind you, we don't have... I keep burping. Sorry.
You don't have democracy like we have. You have Nate and you.
Yeah, and we have what we used to do. This is the first time getting to Alabama where everybody's just going by themselves. Normally what we do is we have one guy who does something, and Nate will call us and say, we have plane tickets booked from Detroit or Chicago, wherever you're leaving from. Here's your ticket. And nobody gets any say. He might ask, are you leaving like a day before? When are you coming back? But normally it would be like a one and done show. This was back when we did that. And it's not like, it's not the, hey, I want to leave from here, but I'm going to stay later and I'm going to do this. And if that's the case, then you were booking your own stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise and really none of us ever did that. Or if anybody did, put it this way, if anybody did, the rest of us didn't know, so it just got handled, and I showed up at the airport and everybody else was standing there. We got on the same flight. We got off.
His name's Tim Tabor, Joe. Tim didn't
do that stuff. Nate did all of that stuff.
Nate
or
did.
Johnny. or Johnny.
Oh yeah, you had Johnny. Jeez.
Yeah. And so we just did, like, nobody ever rocked the boat like that.
Yeah.
Nobody. We had very little. Everybody had their say, and then a decision was made. And we realized at the onset, where we did it like you, where everybody had a say. But here's what we did. Well, I guess this might actually be like 5-iron. But we would do a thing where we would say, all right, everybody put in their 2 cents. Let's vote for it. What do we think? And we actually went so far as if one person said no, then we didn't do it.
What?
So, for instance, when we were on our Gumshoe contract, Gumshoe went under.
Yeah.
So we were going to sue for breach of contract to be free of our contract. And Bo said, no, I'm not suing. Everybody was like, yes, let's do this. We had contacted a lawyer. Like another record company was like, hey, this is a lawyer, wink, wink, you might want to use. And because Bo was like, no, like the Bible tells us, like, don't sue your brother. And we were like, it's different circumstances, man. Like, it's not like this is different. You're not suing, a farmer isn't having his debt dissolved, and then you're going after somebody else and suing him for what they owe you. It ain't that situation.
Yeah.
This is modern day breach of contract. Our ministry is on hold because a guy who decided on a whim to start a record label, shocker, couldn't keep it afloat.
Right.
So we didn't do it. We didn't sue. And then now mind you, hindsight is 2020 when it comes to this story, because Bo does get the last laugh, where then we did have a record label come in, swoop in, buy us away from Gumshoe, but then we were still kind of stuck in our contract instead of getting like a new one.
Yeah.
But, so
the guy that owned Gumshoe, he was a Christian?
Yeah, shocker, huh?
No, I did not know this. And you did sue him, or you did not?
We did not.
Okay.
We did not. So you could look at it and say, well, then Bo was right, because we didn't sue and God's will still happened and our contract was bought and we went, like, you could look back in hindsight and say that, you know what I mean? And say, yeah, by us not suing, everything did work out. But at the same time, I look back and I say, well, we could have sued and gotten out of a contract, and then we would have been free to go wherever we wanted. So, if Tooth and Nail came and call in, or 5 Minute Walk, or Bulletproof, or Sony,
yeah,
or Vagrant, or Asian Man, or Jump Up, whatever we wanted to do, we would have just been free agents. And we didn't do that. So then when this other company that had no clue what they were doing came in and bought us, we were again still stuck in this. We had no say. So, yeah. So that was it. And then kind of after that point, things changed. So after that point, we were like, hey, let's get healthcare. And Kyle was like, no. And for like a week or two, the band was like, well, Kyle said no. And then we were like, screw it. Then he doesn't, like, whatever we're paying a month for each of us, just put that in his check. So he got an extra, whatever, $250 a month, or whatever, whatever it was. And then we all got healthcare.
Yeah.
So it was that type of thing. And then as it went on, it's played out exactly what frustrates you about 5-iron is what plays out with the insiders, but the way that you want it to play out. I probably could have said that a lot better. But so basically how you say, like, there's two people that like really care about stuff.
You and Nate.
So like if I really care about t-shirts and whatnot, I'll say, hey guys, for this show, for the Alabama show, I'm doing t-shirts. If you want to invest, we can split the profits. So if I'm ordering 100 shirts and it's costing $1,000, let's just say, to print out 100 shirts, any profit that's made off that, I'm keeping because I'm doing it. I'm not sharing it with everybody. So then Sang was like, I'll go in on it with you. And I think Bram was like, yeah, I'll kick in some money. I'll go in on it with you. So a bunch of people were all like, yeah, we'll go in. So I think it's going to be like $250 a person. We'll get 100 shirts printed up, whatever the case may be, whatever the price. But 4 guys now are going in, and then we'll split the profits 4 ways. We're not doing this. And on top of that, I'm like, I'm going to choose what shirt we're selling. Like, I'm not doing this like, well, I want this one and I want it in blue. I like this one. And can we get it in a polo? No, we're going to do one shirt because we have no clue how many people even want one. We're going to print one shirt, and it's going to be one shirt for the concert. So it will be a Furnace Fest Insiders shirt, special edition, call it. And then I think you get a sticker too. I think like you might get a sticker with each purchase of the shirt or whatever. And so that's it, man.
That's cool. You're just doing one design?
Yeah, we're just doing one design. So we have to figure out what that one design that we want. But again, like if Michael, our guitar player, if Michael wants to do a shirt, and he wants to spend $1,000. If we get there and all 6 guys spend $1,000 and everyone has a style of shirt, I am okay with that.
Yeah.
But if we're not going to do that and people want to go in, we can do that too. So, but that's kind of how it is. So people are either investing in like my idea for the shirt, or they can do their own. We're not doing this like, well, we can't decide, or, let's quantify it. And if this person wants this one and this person wants this one, rate your top 3, and then we'll take the best rated shirt. We'll take the best average, and that's the shirt that like. I'm not doing that. So that's kind of how we work now. And I think the rest of the band is just okay with that. Like me and Nate kind of push our narratives.
Yeah. And
the rest of the band is just like, okay. Like we don't care enough. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have that.
I know. We learned that last week.
It's just people that'll just be like, I don't like that. And that's all. Like, yeah. Here's my suggestion. That doesn't happen in Fiverr. And it's just like, no, that's not my favorite thing. I know that you've thought about this or planned about it for months, but
yeah,
I don't want to.
Yeah. See, my reply to that would be like, sorry, like this is the way we're doing it. And then if that person, and I don't know who you're talking about. So if that person came back, I just want people to know, me and you aren't having a secret conversation. We haven't talked off air. We haven't texted each other. I don't know, who these people are in 5-iron.
Yeah, but you guessed pretty quick.
Oh, okay. All right. So there we go. So I do know. Now we all
know. No, you don't, because there's like half the band is like that. They'd just be like, nah.
Yeah, see, that wouldn't fly with me. Just with me and my personality. That just wouldn't fly.
It doesn't fly with me.
I'm like, this is how it's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know how you're going to stop this.
Yeah, well, because just be like, I'll just not be there. I'll just stop.
And if somebody said that, if like Bram was like, I am dead, like if you're dead set against a shirt because it has vulgarity or something on it, like at that point, yes, I understand. But other than that, if I'm like, hey, we're investing this money, you've put, and again, I'm just using Bram as a total example. He was the name that popped in my head. But if Bram put nothing in other than money, no idea, no nothing, no sketches. He didn't ask an artist to do anything. He was just like, hey, whatever you do, here's $250. And I put the shirt together. I have somebody draw something. I have you draw something, put something together, get it out, and then present it like, hey, this is the shirt. And if he's like, nah, like, sorry, dude, that is not the answer. You can have your $250 back, but that's it. This is the shirt that's coming out. And then if Bram decides, well, then I'm not playing the show. Like that's not happening. Like that's not an adult response to you don't like a design for a shirt, so you're not going to play a show. Like that's not the, it's kind of overboard.
Yeah. To say it's about playing a shirt or something like that, probably not. We just we function in that, like, if 5 people decide yes, the other 3, they don't have to, you're just like, all right, you lost. It's a democracy. We just made a decision. It's like gold for 5 arms. So we made a decision. Cool. Go with it. And those people might grumble, or they might, if it's playing a song live or something like that, they might just not get into it or not practice. And then we end up cutting it, that kind of stuff. There's the little bit of backstabbingness, but usually it will go. It used to function better because we had Frank would be like, hey, I booked you this. We need to vote on this. And people were like, all right, Frank's in a position of authority. Let's listen to him. Or we don't agree with that. And then we had Keith, who was totally neutral. And he would just present this stuff to us and be like, hey, we need to vote on this. We need to do this. And people would be like, all right, Keith is the guy that organizes it. This works. But we don't have Keith anymore. And so it's just chaos. It's just everybody just is like, if someone tries to be the Keith role, they'll listen to them for a couple months if they're saying things they like. And then after that, it's like, they're done. It's so dysfunctional.
Yeah. I think that is by definition dysfunction.
Yeah. Don't ever start a ska band, people. Don't.
Yeah. Just
start a ska band.
Just stick to being a solo act, and you hire people that know what they're getting, or be a 3-piece.
3-piece. And if you want to be a ska band, hire everybody else.
Yeah. Or just be a ska band like the Suicide Machines and Op Ivy. Just be a punk ska band without horns. Or you're a 3-piece, and then when you play with your friends, they can jump up on stage with their horns and play with you.
Yes. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we have about a half hour left. Let's get into these songs.
Pissed away a whole half hour not talking about songs. Talking about dysfunctional band crap.
But that's okay, because that's what we talked about when we said that we were going to do this. There are going to be days that the songs we talked about may take 10 minutes to explain.
Yeah.
But it might also send us on different directions. And I don't think anything we talked about just now was something that our listeners are like, oh, this is garbage. I'm going to fast forward.
It is garbage.
It's all interesting kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Behind the seams. You know what I mean?
Seams.
So this week in our going through our back catalog, I was going to talk about The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead is, it was the B-side of our 7-inch Rockin' the Hubcat that you heard about last week. That would be another thing, talking about people in the band who just do things and everybody else has to roll with it. Here we had our 2 tracks, Buddy Boy and Walking Dead, ready to go. And we were gonna make a 7-inch, and Nate and Al Brown left, one day to go to wherever you go to get that crap made. And,
to the place where they make records.
Yeah. And the record.
Did they make the whole thing?
Pressing place. Yeah.
That's cool.
And, it's cool. Here in Detroit, we have, I forget what the name of it is, but Jack White owns a pressing place.
Was it there then?
No.
Okay. That's
but
pretty
Jack
cool,
White,
bro.
Since he's become the Jack White.
Yeah.
He has a place where most, I think a lot of artists who are reprinting their old catalogs on vinyl.
Yeah.
He does all that. So he has I guess you would call it a warehouse or a factory. where he's pressing out these mass quantity of, of album. I'm just,
that's cool.
I'm just pulling names out of hats. So like Britney Spears, her Oops, I Did It Again album or whatever. Jack White can press all those. And then he also has a side part that he does for like indie bands.
Yeah.
And so people who need 7 inches or they only need 100 albums pressed, like he does that for like smaller. So he does both. He can handle whatever the client wants.
Most of the places that make records in the world are at least like a 6-month backlog. Like if you're like, hey, let's get this pressed, you're hosed. It takes years now. That's cool that he has that.
From what I gather, that is the thing where if Garth Brooks needs another album pressed, it may take a while. But if you're an indie guy, I believe within like a month or so, you can have your albums pressed.
That's rad, man.
Yeah. And so anyway, Nate and Al went to get it pressed. And then when it came back, we see that the album is called Rockin' the Hubcat. And it's got some picture of a guy like changing a tire or something like that on a vehicle from the 50s. And yeah, so it was kind of already done. It's funny now that I'm going through it and thinking about it. I think we kind of all had a say and saw the process of the artwork, but it was what it was called. So I think Nate was like, yeah.
What did you tell them to name it? Like, did you all be like, hey, okay, here, and what are we going to call it? Okay. And then they changed it, or you were just
no, I think it was like,
think of that through.
That was like our first time. Like that was our first recording ever. So I think the band as a collective was waiting for a band meeting to be like, what's this going to be called?
Yeah.
It was just Nate had been in other bands. And I think Nate just did the thing where, hey, a decision has to be made. We're going to call it Rockin' the Hubcat. And so that's what it was. And I think that whole thing was an inside joke between Nate and Al because I believe they were driving and they were hearing like a clicking sound, kind of like if you put like, if there was a rock in your hubcap. So as you're driving, like if a pebble was like dinging around like shoes in a dryer. So they heard something in the car and they're like, what is that? And like Al went to say it might be a rock in the hubcap, but instead he said rock in the hubcat.
Yeah.
I believe Nate thought that was one of the funniest things he had ever heard.
It's funny. He's right.
17 or 18 years old, they cracked up, they died laughing. And so they were like, hey, we're naming the album Rockin' the Hubcat. And they thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we were all like, okay. Because
hey guys,
we were too fresh. We didn't know like band politics. We didn't know that we had a say.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, everyone, when they started getting their feet underneath them and started getting a voice and whatnot, then things got rough for a little while there. Like our first album, the Motor City Ska.
Yeah.
What I wanted it to be called, I wanted the album to be called The Insiders Food for Thought.
Okay.
And the mock-up that I had was the album would have looked like a Wheaties box.
Uh-huh.
And then we would have been like the celebrity. So Wheaties would have been spelled like
That's
Insiders. Funny. Yeah. So Wheaties would have been spelled like funny. Insiders. And then it would have said Food for Thought. We would have all been around like the cereal bowl, or instead of a cereal bowl, it would have looked like a cereal bowl, like had the look to it because you would have known that it was like a Wheaties box, but it would have been like a record on a record player. Like we had all sorts of stuff. Then on the back, it would have been like the nutritional facts. And it would have been like 17% trombone, 10% of your daily vitamin or, your daily trumpet
and love
things
it.
like that. So that was the mock-up that I had. And it lasted for about as long as it took me to explain my idea and my mock-up, and it was quickly thrown away.
Quickly.
And I walked into that, like, quote unquote band meeting thinking like, this is a home run. Like, no one's turning this down. It's going to be orange, like a Wheaties box. It's going to stand out on the, that was when CDs were still in stores. It's going to stand out on an end cap, all that stuff. Shirts, all that. It's going to be this nice bright orange. Nope. No more did it leave my mouth, and it was shot down, and we went on to the next idea.
Jeez.
Yeah. As you can see, I'm a bit bitter. I always thought
still bitter.
I'm still bitter. I always thought that would have been a great album, like a great look.
I don't mind the name Motor City Ska, but that cover never did anything for me.
Zero.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just zero. Like, it's like a bad, like, I don't know, it's kind of like a high school drawing, and then it's just like, I don't know, like done with bad, I don't know, computer skills. It's not my favorite. You guys, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who did it, and his name escapes me off the top of my head.
That's good, because I'm glad it wasn't Joe Yerke, because I just talk crap about it.
But he was a really, really, really good artist. I don't know if you've ever seen our Rebel Alliance tour shirt, where we took basically the Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, where like, where it's like kind of goes up on a pyramid type look, and then Luke is holding like a lightsaber up, and Leia's kind of laying next to him.
Yeah.
Well, we did that, but we did that with like the characters from our album and different characters that are like in songs that we sang about, stuff like that. All of our friends from Detroit, like caricatures were like made of them and kind of put into it. So Michael, his name is Michael Carrion. And so Michael Carrion
Michael.
And he's gone on to do great things. Like, he's a great graphic designer and stuff. And he made that. And I don't know if that was one of his first things. I mean, I know he was like just out of high school and kind of put that together for us. But that was always his style of art. Like, his style of art was, that very I call it like a sterile comic book.
Yeah.
Like, it's somewhere between like cartoon and stick figure.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so he did that, and I was just kind of like, okay. And our record label loved it. And when we were trying to figure out like a name for it, they were like, well, we want people to know, like, it says Insiders real big across. It has a tire on it. Like a guy skanking. It has everything we need. And they're like, we're going to call it Motor City Ska, because people are going to know you're from Detroit, and they're going to know that this is a ska album. And so that was like our dipping our toe into like the corporate like record label thing, where it was like, at that point we had signed the record deal. We basically didn't have a say. So we kind of put this thing out there. The record company liked it, and then they went with it. We're like, yeah, we're calling it this, and we're going to do this, and it's going to be these colors and blah, blah, blah. So that was kind of that.
The problem with those record company decisions, like in hindsight, is somebody was just like, look, man, we just need to make $10,000 off this band. Let's just do as little effort as possible and get this out.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, all your hopes and dreams, like, you poured your guts into an album. You spent months recording it and just working, and then thinking, okay, this is going to do it. But
yeah.
No.
Now that I'm thinking about it, and these memories are coming back, I don't think Michael Carrion did the original Motor City Ska.
Okay.
I believe, do you remember Tony Weatherly?
Yeah.
So Tony Weatherly's son did it. So
R.I.P.
Tony was our
Tony.
manager at the time. I believe Tony Weatherly's son did it basically on a computer like Microsoft Paint.
Okay, this makes more sense.
Yep, I believe that's what he did, and I believe Tony's son did it. Michael we asked him to do that Rebel Alliance shirt, and that's what he did. He took that caricature and then he did his own on that shirt, and that shirt is awesome if you've ever seen it. People occasionally have posted it in the past on like Diabolical Discussion. They've had, they have it. They'll take a picture and post it up because I think we talked about it before.
Yeah.
And that was for our POD tour. It was like us, POD, and like Soul Food 76.
All right.
And so,
Michael, I'm sorry for talking crap about your art. It does look like that, though.
Yeah, I believe it was Tony Weatherly's son that did that. So that was that. But to get back to it, Walking Dead. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. This is one of those ones I don't have a whole lot to say, other than we had just started. Our guitar player at the time was 15 years old. His name was Caleb Ford.
What happened to that guy?
Caleb, we were older. He was still in school. So we started getting offers to like leave the state, and he couldn't.
Ooh.
So he was holding us back a bit because he was still in high school and we weren't.
You need to get him back in there, dude.
Well, Caleb Ford, if you go online, Caleb has some amazing music. He went on to do way better music stuff than us. He did a ska reggae album with Bob Marley's guitarist.
Jeez.
He's done great stuff. And so I'll try and find some of it and post it. I know Nate has it. I used to have it, but I don't know if I have it downloaded on my computer. I don't believe it's on iTunes. It might be on Spotify, but his name is Caleb Ford. And and so he went on, he had a great music career.
Cool, man.
He's the type of thing, when I say he had a great music career, he put out some great stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think enough people knew about it, but it's like one of those artists where you're like, dude, why isn't this guy a millionaire?
Yeah.
But Caleb wrote The Walking Dead. So Caleb Ford, so when we first started, you're trying to figure out who you are as a band, and Caleb had the music in him, and he came to practice, was like, hey guys, I wrote this song. So he was our 15-year-old guitarist, and he plunked out Walking Dead. And so all those lyrics are a 15-year-old high school kid.
He wrote the lyrics too.
Yeah, he wrote the song. He wrote the lyrics. He brought the entire thing, to practice. And I just sang his lyrics and stuff. So that's me as like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old singing a 15, 16-year-old kid's, perspective. We had all been in like youth group together, and he was at that time. And so those are the lyrics. And so it's funny because we talked about last week, talking about drugs, talking about those types of things. And it's cringy now, being in your 40s and listening to like singing about that. But, it's your world. And when you're that young and you're told that like, drugs this or drinking that or smoking, all those types of things.
Smoking drugs.
Yes, smoking drugs, smoking alcohol.
I've done it.
Yeah. Like, so, but then when you're older, you realize like, okay, you're not like burning in hell if you have a drink. You're not burning in hell if you smoke. Verdict's still out on drugs.
I'm burning in hell right now, and I am also drinking.
Yeah. And so that song was written by Caleb, and he performed it with us. And then when he had to exit the band again, we were starting to get bigger. And then he just started getting involved in other stuff in his life. He was a 15-year-old kid. And that was he was just involved in different things and kind of got away from the insiders, wanted to branch out, realized, you know what, I'm hanging out with all these like, upper teen kids. And he wanted to hang out with kids his own age and make music with kids his own age. So he ended up leaving the band. I think we had to tell him, like, we were actually ones that were like, Caleb, like, this isn't working.
Hey, fella.
You got to go. Hey, little guy, you got to go. So we cut him loose. And then from that, we got Kyle. And the way that we got Kyle was we had a few shows booked, and Caleb was no longer our guitar player. So we panicked, and friends that we always played with. So Johnny Respect, before Johnny Respect was Johnny Respect, a kind of like an incarnation of them. They were a band called Bleach.
Yeah.
And so Bleach was Kyle on guitar, his brother Nigel on drums. I think Phil from
Kyle's brother is named Nigel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the dude is ridiculous. He's like a Navy SEAL, highly decorated, like Navy SEAL.
Much like Kyle.
Yeah. And so, can you hear the cat?
Yeah, I can hear that cat. That's amazing.
Listen to it.
Yeah. Sounds amazing, dude.
So weird. And then I think Phil from Johnny Respect, and then I think Johnny from Johnny Respect. So I think it was the four of them, and they were a four-piece called Bleach. Then the Bleach that we all know got signed and got big. So they were like, okay, we got to change our name. So they changed their name to Cloudbreak, and it didn't work because I believe Nigel and Kyle could not get along, and Kyle just can't get along with anybody. So they broke up, and we were like, oh, Kyle, like they were like, hey, why don't you have Kyle play with you guys? So we were like, hey, come, he came to a practice setup. He played along. We taught him whatever. He played it. Everything was fine. And we were like, okay, this is our guitar player. Like nobody else tried out. We didn't do anything.
Oh, no.
He came, he played, he became our guitar player.
Okay.
And then
did he know ska? Was he into ska?
No, he didn't. He did not. He was a metal guy. He loved Sabbath.
Yeah.
He loved that stuff. It wasn't until he was in the Insiders that he like I turned him on to Face to Face, and Face to Face became like his all-time favorite band. Like he loved Face to Face. But then Nigel, Johnny, and Phil became Johnny Respect. And then Nigel left, and then they got Sammy. And so then Sammy, Johnny, and Phil were Johnny Respect, who will be playing August 13th with the Insiders at the Sanctuary in Hamtramck, Michigan.
For the first time in like 25 years.
43 years. First time in 43 years.
Pretty impressive.
They will be playing. Yeah. So that's The Walking Dead. Not a whole lot to it other than Caleb wrote it. And then Caleb left the band, which then brought Kyle into the band.
Yeah.
So if you can, try and check out Caleb Ford. Try and see what music he has out there.
Yeah. You should try and get him back in the band. And if that doesn't work, Kyle.
I believe Caleb lives in Japan now. After his music career, I believe he went back to school to learn Japanese. Went over to Japan and started working with, this is the story I heard, started working with big like Japanese companies, and he translates for people. So he's a translator over in Japan and just makes coin.
Okay. Yeah. He works at the mint.
Yep. He just prints whatever he needs.
Okay.
So tell me about your song this week.
Well, I'm going song by song for 500 Frenzy.
Track 2?
It's called Where Zero Meets 15. We thought it would be clever to call it, like put the number 0 and then spell out 15. I think that was Keith's idea.
Yeah.
But it was like early in our writing, and I was still trying to figure out, how do you write songs? Like, how do you write good lyrics? And I kind of got inspired by, I don't even know what band I was listening to, but it was more just like writing about things they saw, what was going on. And so I was like, I'll try this. And I was going to school at University of Colorado, Denver, and I had this painting class that went from like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I would like we lived in Aurora, Keith and I, and then later Scott lived there with this guy that was his roommate. We all lived in a 1-bedroom apartment that cost, before all 4 of us divided it up, it cost $230 a month. So
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. We built like 2 lofts. So like it was like bunk beds. And then usually somebody was crashed out on the couch. But divide 230, it was 235 plus utilities. Maybe utilities were included. It was like HUD subsidized. It wasn't bad. It was like a nice apartment. But
so my math is right. It costs you each about $180 a month.
No, divide that. That's like $60.
Oh, right. Yeah. I didn't carry the one.
Well, I don't remember if I had a car then or not. I think anyway. I rode the bus, and this was not new to me. I had ridden the bus in 8th grade. My dad wanted me to go to a Catholic school, and it was clear on the other side of town. And so he would take me in the morning because it was kind of on his way to work. But then, you're done with school at 3. So he wasn't going to come home at 3, to come get me. So he was like, you can take the city bus. And they got me a bus pass. And so start out in Inglewood, which is where the Zero would go.
Up to no good.
It was like where the Zero would kind of start somewhere up there, and then it would go down and kind of end downtown. There was like a bus station, but it was near Colfax and Broadway. But I wouldn't do that part in 8th grade. I'd just go like to this other bus, and like the Zero is kind of sketchy the further you got towards in town, and then take this other bus. But I learned to ride the bus, and I would do it a lot. And I got Keith riding the bus. And then when we were going to school, when we were living at this place, we would ride the bus. And then Keith became like super adept at the bus. And then he refused to get a driver's license, I think until he was 26, because he loved the bus so much. The Zero. So the Zero is named after Broadway, which is like, how cities, they have like a numbering system. So on one side of Broadway, it's like east. Like you would be like, I'm on east this, I'm on east. And then the west side, they would just not say it. It was just implied. Yeah. And the same was with like north and south. They wouldn't say south in Denver, but the north streets would get, names and stuff. So Zero is 1, and the 15 was Colfax, which was a north street. So it was like 15 blocks north of what the Zero was latitudinally.
Yeah.
So Colfax is the longest avenue in the world. It goes from like way past the airport to the mountains. It's like 100 miles long, but this bus goes the whole way. If you start out in Aurora, it gets progressively sketchier as you get towards Colfax and Broadway, and the same with the Zero. And that's where I would meet the bus. And the crazy thing is it's right across the street, like right catty corner to the state capital of Colorado, which is just kind of like this ostentatious monument to mining. So it's like it's made of this gray granite. Like it's like kind of modeled after the US Capitol.
Okay.
Gray granite. There is 24 karat gold leaf on the dome, which is, like Colorado isn't the only state to have a gold dome, but they did make it in Colorado. So that's cool. I think West Virginia has one. There's a couple others.
Notre Dame.
Inside, there is this marble, this red marble. It's all of it in the world. Like they found this vein of red marble. We're like, man, this is cool. Let's put it in this new Capitol building. That was all. Like they used all of it, and it's in there. So it's like that. It's where, laws are made, and the, the state senators and congressmen are. Then across the street, there's just like dudes giving hand jobs for meth.
I wasn't expecting that.
It's so brutal.
I thought you were going to be like, and then like across the street was my school.
No.
So, I got a curveball there.
Yeah, like I could
was waiting for a fastball and got the curve.
The only way to get home was to take the 15. So you had to pick it up at some point, but that was like the place where more buses went was at Colfax and Broadway. So I walked up there 10 o'clock every night for a semester. You know, it was not every night. You know, like it was like two nights a week. But geez, the things I would see. And I was like accustomed to living in Denver, and we lived kind of in the ghetto. Like Aurora is this giant suburb of Denver, and one side it's just like super big, rich McMansions, and then one side is like known for prostitution and crazy shootings and weird motels that, you know, are charged by the hour. So we were closer to that side in this apartment. And so I was accustomed to seeing some wild shit, but sitting there at 10 o'clock, and thinking like, I got to find stuff to write a song about. Just seeing this stuff. It all happened. It all happened like not at one point. Oh yeah, I said I didn't know if I had a car. I did have a car, and I drove it to Arizona. This is how it starts out. My car broke down in Arizona. I have to ride the bus again. I had a car. I drove to see my dad, and I blew up the engine because the dipstick on this thing, it was burning oil. The dipstick on this thing didn't have any kind of gradation. So you'd stick it down and you'd pull it out and you'd be like, I can't tell if I have oil or not. It was leaking oil, so you'd put oil in it, and so all the oil coming up was clean. So you know that stuff doesn't really stick so good. So I put too much oil in it and blew a head gasket. I was like, that car's done. My dad gave me a ride back. I didn't have a car, so I'm taking the bus. But I just remember sitting there and like all those things, you know, like just there people kept coming up. You know, when you ride the bus, people are always asking if you smoke. I think I had long hair then. So definitely people thought I smoked weed or I dealt weed. And there was one point where it was like fire engine red, and I like shaved on the sides. So it was like just giant mohawk, but I never had the patience to like put it up because it was like down to my butt. But yeah, man, just people would always ask me for drugs or try and sell me drugs or if I had smokes. And so I'm just like, you know, tell two people I don't smoke. I see the cop across the street. He thinks that I am selling dope. Those all happened. And then, you know, like I just say, I could have walked another block to get away from the scene. Why does it always come to this where the 0 meets the 15? I don't remember if I had 13 cents, but I do remember giving my change to a dude who smelled like pee. I do remember him passing out and dropping it and seeing a lady who was like holding a baby that had like bruises on it. Oh. And, you know, people just same thing, like people asking like, dude, did you just get a new tattoo? And I think at that time I only had one tattoo on the back of my calf. But like, I just remember going through this at that time and being like, you know, as a Christian, you're just like really confused to be outside of comforting place and just having it keep kind of steamrolling where you're like, okay, God, this is why you put me here. Shit. Yeah. No, it's not. Like, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to just talk to these people? You want me to ask them if they want to pray with me? You know, like, and no, they don't. So you just keep like doing these mental gymnastics, especially for me, like as a newer Christian at that point, you know, like I'd probably only been a believer like 5 years. And it was just a lot of this, like, what am I doing here? Why is this happening? I do remember specifically because Scott remembers this dude because he would ride the bus, but there was like a guy who wore this coat. It was in the, like September, maybe. It was not cold, but he had this down coat on that was like held together by duct tape, like so much duct tape that it looked like it was made of duct tape. And then a foil hat on. And he would come up and he'd be like, hey man, I just need to, I've got to get my electrolytes. I got to get more electrolytes. And he kept doing that. And I told Scott about this guy, and Scott's like, yeah, the electrolyte guy. I've seen that guy. He's got a duct tape coat. Yeah, I know that guy. So the duct tape electrolyte guy is like, he's like, hey man, I got to get some electrolytes. I got to get it. And I'm trying to save him. Like I'm trying to help. Yeah. So I remember going like, okay, hey man, there's a 7-Eleven. You want me to get you a Gatorade? And he just looked like he saw a ghost inside of me. And he just goes, oh my gosh, you. And he just points at me like he was somewhere else and then just came into like reality. And he points at me and he's like, you, John Elway, you fumbled, man. And he's like terrified of me, walking off, like walks into the street. Cars are like almost hitting him. He disappears. So I'm like, I get, back to Five Iron and we're talking about this. They're like, yeah, that's a good idea. You should try writing about experience. Just go, this. And we had talked about it. So I'm writing this stuff down thinking, cool, I'm going to get to the bridge. And that's where I tie everything together. Like this is where I make everything make sense. And I kept writing it for a month or two where I would just be like, this does not make sense. I can't put this in a place in my belief of God. I can't rectify this. Like I want to lie and say, well, cool. God gave me a message there, or he taught me humility, or I did pray with those guys, or I did get that guy some electrolytes. Like none of that happened. And I was like fighting it the whole, for months, just being like, I got to finish the song. Five Iron would do this thing back then where we'd be working through songs in rehearsal and I'd just sing syllables or put in words where I was like, this is like the cadence I want to go here.
Right.
And come up with a melody. And then the other guys who didn't give a shit what I was saying would just be like, hey, we're playing that song tonight. And then I'd be like, it doesn't have words. And they'd be like, it's fine. And then they make fun of me later. Like there's a version of Fistful of Sand out there where it's just me singing gibberish. And they're like, oh, shaka bottom bing, dude. Like, you did that, dicks. Anyway, so this song we had been playing quite a bit, and it was not like it had the meat of it, but no bridge. There was like no meaning. And I hit this point where I was like, just tell the truth. Just say you don't know. Like just say I'm lost. Like just say that. Just say you are in this position where you thought that your job for God was to save these people or to help them, and you had nothing to give them, and you felt helpless.
Yeah.
And so I did. And the bridge is like, just real quick, I just say, sometimes my cup is overfilled. Sometimes I'm too afraid that I'm going to spill. And I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of the songs that I wrote back then are things that I'm proud of, like it's like reading your old journals that you're like, oh yeah, I wasn't very good at this then. But like, that was a huge step for me to realize that I don't have to lie to make a good song. Like what means the most to people about that song is it's something that we all feel like, okay, God, I did the thing. Now what? Like you're going to come in here and save this situation. This lady whose kid, I think, got beat or is trying to score drugs or, these freaking dope fiends or the cop or the crazy guy who wants the electrolytes. Like there's going to be some message here. There's going to be like salvation. And there was not. It was just me.
Yeah.
Like feeling inadequate and not having answers. And I think we feel like that most of the time in Christianity. And I think that's okay to admit. I think it's okay to say, I don't know. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. No, I definitely think like as you get older, you figure that out. So people didn't get that on an Insiders album until 2003, 2004, when we did Soundtrack to a Revolution.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking about it, in 2003, 2004, I was probably the same age as you were when you wrote Upbeats and Beatdowns.
No, you were not, Joe. We're only like 4 years apart. When did you start the Insiders?
1996.
Wait, how old were you?
17 years old. 18 years old.
Okay. I was like 22 when I wrote this.
19, 20, 21, 22. So in 1996, I was 19. So that's what, 2003 from 1996? I don't know.
3 years. Close. You're close.
Yeah, so close. So like, people, and the thing is, we had stopped. The Insiders had stopped for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And like gotten jobs and returned to like the real world. And so prior to that, the songs it was either stuff that I had written when I was 17 years old, like Motor City Ska, or it was Scalleluja stuff. And so we, just as you're saying, you can admit that you didn't know, and you were just that honesty.
Yeah.
For us, when you're writing it as a 17-year-old, that literally we were on tour. We were playing was it Gasoline Festival? What was that called? The Gas Tour, Gasoline Tour.
The Gas Tour?
Yeah, remember remember Seven Ball magazine?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do remember that.
They did these things called like the Gasoline Fest or something like that in Florida. And that was like our coming out party. We had been big like in Michigan and Chicago and Milwaukee area. And then we went and we played the Gasoline Festival. And that's where like we became like kind of known in more places. We played with MXPX that day. So it was kind of our coming out party to the rest of the US or to Florida. And, but that's the thing, like in our lyrics, getting back to it, like our lyrics, we never had that, like the honesty, because these songs were written while we were literally youth group kids.
Yeah.
And so when you're like a youth group kid and you haven't gone through the trials and tribulations and fought through stuff and gained that wisdom, all you do is you answer problems with canned answers. And so those early Insiders albums are like the canned answers. Like if you go through this problem, then this is what you do. And this is what you say, and things are going to be better. And it wasn't until Soundtrack to a Revolution, 5 albums later, 6 albums later, that you're getting the, like, you know what? Things don't always work out the way you planned it. And you're not getting those canned youth group answers. You're getting answers from like a 23, 24, 25-year-old guy who's, now seen some stuff, who's experienced some stuff, who himself, has had to say, like, I don't know the answer to that. And then by the time we're on Sinner's Songbook, you're getting the answers of, like just a completely different version of Christian that I was at that age than when you're a kid, So that's that. So like with Sinner's Songbook, it's coming from a different angle, but I completely understand what you mean when you can just say, I don't know. And what's being a father now, and being a father with kids that are like, I have a 19-year-old and I have a 16-year-old, and they're both heavily involved in their youth group. And my 19-year-old she's gone from youth group kid to youth group leader. And they have a lot of those, I think it's just the evolution of a Christian who's been raised in the church. They have very black and white ideas on things and answers to things. And so I see myself in them. You have that gung ho, that willing to, like, just like you said, go out and save people. When you're given a question or something like that, you give that canned answer that you learned the week prior in youth group. And that's how they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you learn more as you grow to be able to say, I don't know. I don't know why that happens. I don't know. I don't know why kids get cancer. I don't know. But what I do know is A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
So I get that. But that was a good song. I always like that. That's one of my favorites of yours.
Thanks, man. I'm very proud of it. I'm just like proud that I think I cataloged a point where I was like not very good at writing songs. And then I hit a point where I was just like, I'm just going to tell the truth. Like everything I do has to be honest. And I think everybody in the band kind of glommed onto it. They were like, oh, this works. This is good. And even, so like on our newest album ever, we recorded a song that ended up coming out like as a B-side called Marty. And it was a good song musically. I loved it. And they were like, what's this about? What are you writing? And I was writing this song about this guy with Down syndrome that my mom was friends with, that we thought was the coolest guy. And then later on, he had passed away. He had a heart attack out shoveling snow, which was all the time in Steamboat. But I was talking to my mom as an adult about him, and I was like, man, he was so cool. That was so great. And she just said, he was so sweet with you kids, and was so wonderful. It was just, he lived next to our babysitter. So we would just go over there and he'd give us cookies and stuff. And she would, like, he'd invite us to his house and we go there, and this is a long story, but he had Down syndrome and we didn't know. And I was making the song about that, this guy, like how sweet he was and just what a wonderful person. But I couldn't get it. I couldn't shoehorn it in, and we were in the studio. And so I ended up just making it like about this made up person that is like an amalgam of my dad and his brothers just kind of not caring about anything. And the guys in the band were like, dude, that is not what that song was about. Like, whatever this is, whoever this Marty guy is, you just made this song about, that's a lie. And they totally were right, but like this song got cut from the album because they were just like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Which is another lesson. Same lesson here as in Where 0 Meets 15, that you gotta be honest.
Well, I like I liked you talking about that. And I think as we continue to do this, we're gonna find our niche. I like how you went through lyrics. So hopefully listeners, you guys are gonna hear that more from us, because I'm like, oh, I should be doing that. We should be pulling up certain lyrics and songs and letting people know like where those came from and whatnot. So I think you brought a lot to the table today. I made fun of you at the beginning that you were doing it on the fly, but it actually worked. And it was you added quite a bit. Not added, you carried the show today, and that was a great thing that you did. Explain it.
I did make it up.
And I like how you can't take compliments. You're like me. So I like when you get all squirmy and like you got to go into like fake voices and make faces. So, all right. Ladies and gents, we are bringing this to an end. Tell somebody about the show. Have them squander their money by paying a subscription. Tell them how much they're going to hate it and how they need to throw money at us, and hopefully they will. And I'm going. Me and you aren't recording next week. Hopefully we have a few in the can, as they say. Although if you think about that phrase, it can sound very uncomfortable.
I like to put things in the can. Joe?
Sure, I've heard that. And we are not going to be going next week because I am out of town. It is a holiday weekend, 4th of July, and so I will be up north with the fam. So I will not be by a computer, and even if I had a computer, I don't think it'll be good signal. So we are done for a little bit, and that is that, you guys. See ya. Thanks.
Piece of pizza.